If you've ever worked a late-night job, let me ask you something. Do you really know who's watching you after midnight? Because I didn't, and by the time I realized, it was already too late. My name is Daniel, and this happened when I was 24 years old, living alone in a small city in Canada. At the time, I worked a night shift at a storage facility, the kind with long rows of metal doors, security cameras, and motion lights that turn on even when nothing is there. Have you ever noticed how places built for security feel more unsettling at night? During the day, everything felt normal. At night, the silence felt heavy, like it was pressing against my ears. My shift ran from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. No coworkers, no customers after midnight, just me, a desk, and camera screens. The first weird thing happened during my second week. At around 2:17 a.m., one of the motion lights turned on at the far end of the facility. I checked the camera. Nothing. No car, no person, no animal. Have you ever brushed something off because you didn't want to seem paranoid? I did exactly that. The next night, it happened again. Same area, same time. This time I zoomed in. Still nothing, but the system log showed something strange. Motion detected, manual override disabled. I didn't know what that meant, and no one had trained me to handle it. I mentioned it to my supervisor the next morning. He smiled and said, "Those sensors are old, they misfire." But his smile didn't reach his eyes. That should have been my second warning. A few nights later, I noticed something else. One of the storage units, Unit B17, was always unlocked. Every morning, I locked it. Every night, it was open again. The unit wasn't rented. At least, that's what the system said. So why did it smell like someone had been inside recently? I started paying closer attention. At 3 a.m., I heard footsteps outside the office. Slow, careful. I checked the cameras. Every hallway was empty. Have you ever felt that horrible disconnect when your ears say one thing and your eyes say another? On the sixth night, I found something that made my stomach drop. Inside Unit B17, behind a stack of old boxes, was a folding chair facing the security camera. Someone had been sitting there, watching. I called my supervisor immediately. This time, he didn't laugh. He went quiet. Then he told me the truth. A former employee had been fired months ago for following a coworker home. They never recovered his access badge. They assumed he wouldn't come back. That night, I didn't feel alone anymore. I felt observed. At 2:19 a.m., the office phone rang. No caller ID. I answered. Breathing. Slow. Controlled. Then a voice said, "You lock up differently every night." My hands started shaking because that was true. I called the police. They arrived quietly, without sirens. They searched Unit B17 first. Inside, they found a sleeping bag, food wrappers, notes with shift timings, and my name written multiple times. The man was still on the property. They found him hiding behind another unit, watching the office. He was arrested that night, charged with stalking and trespassing. The facility changed every lock, every badge, every code. I quit the next morning. I don't know what happened to the storage facility after that. I cut all contact for my own safety. But if you're listening to this and you work alone at night, please ask who still has access to your workplace. Because sometimes the scariest part isn't being followed, it's realizing you already were. If you've ever ordered food late at night, let me ask you something. Do you know how much the delivery driver can see about your life? Because after what happened to me, I stopped delivering after midnight forever. My name is Liam, and this happened when I was working as a late-night food delivery driver in the UK. At the time, I was 22, broke, and desperate for flexible hours. Night shifts paid more. Have you ever chosen money over comfort and regretted it later? Most of my deliveries were normal: apartments, student housing, occasionally a quiet suburban street. But one address kept repeating: same house, same order, always after 1:30 a.m. The first few times I didn't think much of it. The man would answer the door halfway, never smiled, never tipped. He'd just stare, past me, not at me, like he was memorizing something. After the fourth delivery, he asked casually, "You usually work alone this late?" I laughed it off and said yes. Why did I answer that honestly? I still ask myself that. A week later, things changed. I started getting orders that made no sense. Requests like, leave at back door, knock twice, wait, call when nearby. But when I arrived, no one answered, no lights on, no movement. Have you ever stood outside a stranger's house at night, wondering if you're the one being watched? One night, while waiting, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Wrong door. I hadn't told anyone which door I was at. I reported it to the app. They said to ignore it. So I did. That was my mistake. A few nights later, I noticed a car following me between deliveries. Same headlights, same distance, every turn. I pulled over once, so did the car. I drove off fast. It didn't follow again that night. The final delivery came at 2:48 a.m. Same house, same man. This time, he smiled and said, "You take different routes home." My chest tightened because that wasn't visible on any app. I called the police after that delivery. They took it seriously. They checked the house. Inside, they found screenshots of delivery driver profiles, license plate notes, timings, routes. I wasn't the only one. The man was arrested for stalking. The delivery app permanently banned his account. I quit night deliveries the same week. I don't know what happened to him after the court case. I chose not to follow it. But if you're listening to this and you work late-night deliveries, protect your privacy. Because sometimes the customer isn't just ordering food. They're studying you.
That's the end of tonight's stories. If any of them stayed with you, you know which one. Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. I'll see you soon.